I'm the How-To Dad, and this video is a requested video about how I did the window details in the passive-ish house that I built. If you have any questions about how this was done, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them. All right, check it out. So I'm at the finishing stage here. I'm just going to show you what's going on with these windows and how I'm boxing these out. So these are all Baltic birch plywood, and I'll show you over here what the actual trim detail is. So it's these boxes being built out of Baltic birch plywood, and then the 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood is also the trim. So you can see there's a piece of trim there. So I only have 3/4 of an inch going all the way around this box, which means I have to be super careful with the details and make sure that everything fits nicely, because these also aren't being painted, so there's not going to be any DAP or anything to cover up these cracks. So basically what I have to do is I have to come around and have to scribe this out and make sure that the final fit and finish is perfect. This is a process. I'm going to go through and show you how I do it. All right, let's do this. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I need to measure the distance and the thickness of my window buck, or the window box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure across the window buck, proud of the drywall, by 3/4 of an inch, which is the thickness of my Baltic birch plywood. So I'll put that on the wall like that, and then I'll measure using my combination square. I'll measure from the front of the window to out here, and that gives me the thickness of my window box. Using my track saw, I basically just cut the boxes to depth. Each one of these pieces needs to be back beveled, meaning that I have to have a 45-degree angle just on one edge, and this is the edge that meets the window. This makes scribing a lot easier and gives space for some of the hardware to hold the window in place. Here I am, I'm just cutting the pieces to length with that 45-degree angle on the back side. I also have to take the corners off of each one of these, because that corner will also dig into the tape detail. Okay, so there's a couple of reasons why I do that back bevel, and one is because of these clips. They kind of interfere right here. If I were to try to put this in as a butt joint, it would stick out too far. And also because of this tape detail, I don't want the butt joint, going right into that. These clips stick out about 1/4 of an inch, almost 3/16 maybe, probably 1/4 of an inch, which means that I have to router out the box in order to be able to slip over top of that clip. Here I am assembling one of the window boxes. I just screwed them together using flooring screws, pre-drilling the holes so I didn't split the plywood. I made this little jig just to make sure that the corners are nice and square, and I put it down on a piece of finished grade plywood so that there was a nice crisp edge on the front and the pieces were lined up perfectly. This particular box, I didn't router these recesses in before I put it together, so I had to do it after the fact. You can see this box here, I've got all those recesses already measured out and cut in. All I had to do was screw it together, pick it up, and slide it into place. Okay, so here's what I'm working on today. I'm just getting these window boxes, doing the final sort of fit to get them in the space there. I'll show you how I've got these things put together. So it's basically sort of a 3-sided box, and then this is kind of like a beam, and that caps just over top. You can see here how there's this spot here that needs to be capped over just to hide. So I've glued up this box and then screwed it into this this other box, I guess. And then this piece just sets on top and frames out the transom window. So I've got the box, the separator, and the side. First thing, obviously, I got to glue up that box. So that takes some time. And then I have to scribe the side to the box because this isn't perfectly square. And then I've also got to cut this notch out of the front. This one's 1.5 inches shorter than this one. And this notch here is to accept top over the bottom. So when you look at it, it looks more seamless. All right, I was just fitting this together. I just realized I fucked something up. It's gonna be really hard for me to show you, but basically this edge here is a 32nd or 64th longer than this edge. So when the piece comes together in here, that little spot's gonna show. So basically there's no easy way to get a power tool in there, so I've got to coat this 2 veneers away from the edge. All right, so just cutting this guy off. Okay, so I just clamp this piece of 3/4, just like half a fingernail width back. I don't even know if you can see. Yeah, you can see that. I gotta sand that off now. That'll do. So there you go. That's how you waste 20 minutes by not paying attention to your cuts. Okay, so that's now all screwed together. I routed out all the spots where the clips are. And now, after 2 hours, I can pick it up and bring it over there. All right, so I'm just gonna show you how I'm trying to make these windows fit here. So I've got my pencil nice and sharp, and you can see it's a pretty good line, but then there's a spot right there where it's touching, and it kind of comes out there. So just simple scribe, just take my pencil, and then I just follow it down, and then you can see it starts to converge back in. So I've just got to take that bit off with some sandpaper. What I do is I just take this piece of plywood, bring it right up to that line, sneak it right up, and then clamp that in place. So you can see there's a slight lip there, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand this right down to basically that line, and using that board as a guide. All right, let's see how this looks. All right, and after a few more iterations, that's what she looks like. Not bad. Okay, so part of being a good finisher is not being perfect. You make mistakes, like this little overcut here. It's not about what mistakes you make, it's how well you hide them. So I try to see if I can find a matching piece of grain. All right, so I found this offcut. It's got a very similar grain to right there. What I'm gonna do is, because I want it to wedge in there, is I'm actually gonna, this is gonna be a bit crazy, but I'm gonna back bevel these edges. I'm gonna get some glue in there. Glue will not accept stain, okay? So if you're gonna stain and you get any glue on your workpiece, it's toast. Okay. I'm gonna take a block of wood and I'm gonna use that to really just jam it in there, kind of like sanding it, but without sandpaper. That will come next. A little bit of 220. All right, so that patch didn't work. Some glue, squeeze out. So I'm actually gonna cut this out, try again. Here's the second try. Got the piece cut out, all ready to go. And this time, instead of using CA glue, I'm actually just gonna use wood glue. It's a little more forgiving. Okay, press that in. Very hard, but the veneer, so slight, like it's so delicate. It's very easy to chip. Okay, so I'm back the next morning. I left it to cure overnight, so I'm just going to trim the veneer back. A little 220. Okay, that's blended pretty nicely. Okay, and there it is, all put back together. You can barely see it, and just in case you think I'm playing tricks on you, really close. Oh, there it is. So yeah, looks pretty good. And here we are a couple of months down the line. Obviously you can tell it's a different time frame because there's snow on the ground. And so I just want to show you what these windows look like when they are finished. I really, really like the way they turned out. They turned out absolutely awesome. I love the slight trim detail. I'll show you how this trim came together. Basically, it's just the 3/4 inch strip of Baltic birch plywood that comes down here, and another strip that comes across here. And then this is the window box. When it's glued up and brad nailed like this, you can barely tell. Actually, you can't tell. It looks like one monolithic piece of thick plywood. The Baltic birch has those really tight and numerous plies, which makes this look really great. And just a very minimalistic look with the trim. Again, you had to be super careful. I had to talk to my drywallers about making this, making sure that there wasn't a lot of errors to cover with trim. You can see how that box and that top U piece came together. There is obviously a joint here. There's nothing I can really do about that. But by staggering the joint with the top of the box, by notching that 3/4 inches out, it definitely, when you're looking at it this way, it definitely makes it harder to see. So tell me what you think. Do you think putting the extra effort into making the windows look like this was worth it? I'll tell you what, it wasn't cheaper because a sheet of 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood is about $230 right now. But would I have wanted to save the money and do it the traditional way with, say, white window boxes and flat stock? No way, man. I love the way this looks. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Think about maybe giving this video a thumbs up. Think about subscribing. And if you do, I'll see you in the next video. All right.